Hello, everybody. It is Friday, February 10th. What the Frick Live. I'm your host, Emily Menshouse, and I have my amazing co-host.
Yes.
I just want to say the best one I've ever had.
Woo! Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Rick Dunn with me tonight. Thank you, Rick, for tuning in this evening. And I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in, too. If you're watching via social media, we're on all kinds of platforms. But first, we got to go to our radio listeners on 107.7 FM New Orleans. We love you. Thank you so much for tuning in. I think it's probably they're in traffic right now trying to get home. So,
Yeah, but still, end of the day, winding down, cracking the first one open. Weekend. Happy weekend,
Friday
everybody.
Night. So thank you, everybody. It is a big weekend, too, Super Bowl weekend.
Ooh, yeah.
Who are you cheering for? Do you know who's playing?
I have a bunch of friends. I'm in Jersey, right? So we're not far from Pennsylvania, Philadelphia. So lots of friends that love the Eagles. So just so that next week can be exciting and I can be a part of it and everyone has a smile on their face, even though it's South Jersey, I'm going to have to say would like to see those Eagles. And aren't you kind of bored with Kansas City? Like,
yes,
enough's enough.
Just a little tidbit about me. I don't watch NFL, but every year I've guessed the winning Super Bowl champion. Every year.
How do you decide?
Every year. I'm going to say Kansas is going to win, but I'm shooting for Pennsylvania, and I will be watching that Sunday. So I loved it when not Pennsylvania, well, Philadelphia Eagles, I guess. I loved it when they won a few years ago, and I was down at Applebee's, our local joint, and I was the only one cheering for him. And I'm like, I'm telling you all, I've picked this for numbers of years, and I've always picked the winner. And they're like, you need to bet. And I'm like, the first time I bet, I'll lose, so I'm not betting on the Super Bowl. But I'm going to say, I hate to say it, Kansas is going to win, but I'm going to cheer for the Eagles.
I was an Eastern Kentucky. When y'all don't have football team, who does that community, like who is everybody's go-to NFL team?
Bengals.
Okay.
Yeah, Cincinnati.
Right. They're excited.
So we have a couple people here right now that says, hey, all, go Eagles and things like that. It's Facebook user. Real quick, we're going to go through this regular and we're going to introduce our guests because we got so many questions tonight. So we are using StreamYard. If you're watching via Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Rumble, all these things, please go to StreamYard.com/Facebook. Give StreamYard your permission to use your name and your picture, and then you'll come back on. If you don't want to do that, it's fine. If you're happy with Facebook user, please stay with this. Ask questions. The more questions you ask in the chat, the more we stay in the algorithm, and we love that. We love it. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in via social media. We love y'all. We appreciate you. We have an amazing guest tonight. Like, I never knew that there was like a micronation or anything in the United States. And I thought like I was pretty big in history. I do have a minor in Gilded America in college, and I loved American history. And I never knew this. This came on, like I saw a random TikTok video about 2 months ago or something. I'm like, what in the world is this?
I was surprised when you told me who we were going to have on. I was, say that again, but a little slower. And sure enough, I have researched this amazing individual that decided, hey, you know what? Let's start our own country. Let's just do it. Everybody talks about we're going to do it.
Can anybody do it? I want to start my own country right here on Main Street in Ashland, Kentucky. Like, I need your passport before you come to my house.
You can't just make it. You have to take it by force.
Well, we're gonna talk about this. This is so interesting in many, many ways. It is located in Nevada. Before we bring our guest on, is President Kevin Baugh. He's the president of this location since 1999, but it's been in formation, I think, since 1977 or late 70s. Before we are going to play the national anthem for him, and when this is over, he'll be on the screen. Anybody's watching via, but we're going to respect the nation of Molossia. This is amazing and awesome. I love it. So here we go. And there we have it. The anthem for the Republic of Molossia. And we have President, His Excellency Kevin Baugh with us tonight. Thank you, Kevin, so much, or President Baugh, I should say, so much for coming on our show. We appreciate you. That was beautiful, though.
Isn't that awesome? That is absolutely lovely.
Who wrote that? Did you write that?
Yeah, I actually wrote the lyrics.
I love it. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. Thank you for coming on the show. We truly appreciate
President Baugh, thank you for being here.
So anybody has any questions during our live interview here with President Kevin Baugh via social media, please ask. We will try to get to those questions as soon as possible. We appreciate your viewership. Please share this out. It helps our guests. It helps our show. It helps our network that we're on. We love y'all. We appreciate you. So Kevin Baugh, President Kevin Baugh, I have so many questions.
So I heard.
So, oh my gosh, you started a country in the United States and no one really knows about this at all. How did that happen?
I mean, actually, a lot of people know about it, but not everybody.
Maybe at East Coast, maybe the government people know, but like I'm in East Coast. We're both in East Coast, Rick and myself. So maybe East Coasters might not know about this.
Might not. I mean, we have a pretty good Twitter and Facebook. We even have TikTok.
Look, the word's getting out. Okay, everyone's gonna know about this amazing powerhouse of a country of Molossia, and the rest of the country is gonna take notice. All right, I promise you that. We're coming out of the world.
Thank you.
I have a question.
With current politics in the United States, I'll just put that little jab in there.
Yeah, you're gonna have a lot of political refugees coming soon. So let me start here.
Sure.
I think everybody, right? Everyone's always had the dream of, man, I'm gonna start my own country. For me, I've always wanted an island, right? Just on an island somewhere. I don't need much. Just give me your own little island.
Sure.
You start your own country and you decide to make it a republic and you're the president. Right. Why did you not choose to go the monarchy? I'm going to be the king of this nation.
Well, Molossia originally started out as a kingdom. It was known as the Grand Republic, even though it was a kingdom. The Grand Republic of Voldstein back in 1977 when it was founded. And we had a king, King James, and I was the prime minister. But King James moved on to other things. I stayed with the idea of having our own country. And in the late 1990s, once we got territory here within northern Nevada, I changed the name to the Republic of Molossia. Republic fit me better. There are a lot of micronations out there. Molossia is what's called a micronation, which is a tiny self-declared country. And most of them are kingdoms or, I don't know, duchies. There's some empires, all that kind of thing. I didn't really want to be a king. I wanted something different. And so Molossia is a republic, at least in name. Now, I am actually the dictator of our nation, so Molossia is basically a dictatorship. But most dictatorships are known as republics, at least in name, if not in practice.
Well, that was one of my questions I wanted to ask. I want to know if you consider yourself a dictator, if other people in that community consider yourself a dictator. From American standpoint, dictators are kind of bad, but honestly, I would come live in Molossia.
Well, I mean, our dictatorship, our Molossia itself, is sort of modeled on, I guess you could say, a time in American politics when dictatorships were not all that bad, as long as they weren't communist. And so there was a time when the U.S. snuggled up to, or the other way around, to dictators pretty much all over the world, as long as they didn't support communism. Some were pretty rough. But I am actually a benevolent dictator here in Molossia. My citizens are very happy that I'm in charge of the country, because that means that they're not. And they much rather have someone else be in charge and not them. So I guess it's a dictatorship by acclaim.
And you raised up in this. You were prime minister before you became the president.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So how old were you because the 1970s is not really that far away. My son would say that's antique. He even says the 80s is antique.
It's coming up on 46 years ago, so it's a little ways away. I was 15.
Yeah, I'd love to know more about that. And just doing a little bit of research. So you were military.
I was. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What branch? What year was that? And where were you?
I was in the United States Army and then the Nevada Army National Guard for a total of 27 years.
Oh, wow. Thank you for your service.
With Molossia. But, those two are two separate things, and that's okay. I'm retired from the military now. So
amazing. Okay. And so you and King James decide, hey, we are going to start our own empire. Like, how does that conversation start? Like,
well, we saw this old movie, this Peter Sellers movie called The Mouse That Roared. The movie was actually made in 1960, and we were really influenced by the imagination and creativity of this tiny country that is the centerpiece of the movie. And so we decided we were just going to start our own nation. Like I said, inspired by that movie, to start our own nation. And like I said, he was the king, I was prime minister, and I just stayed with it. And we continued to do our thing for a little while till he moved on to other things. And I've always been intrigued by politics and geography and so forth like that. And I just really enjoy the idea of having a country and then what you could do with that idea, which is really, I think, what most micronations are.
So the mantle was handed down to you, correct?
I think the mantle was probably always me. King James wasn't really as into it as I was. So it's kind of always been me since 1977.
Wow, since you were 15, right?
Yes, I was 15, yes.
Wow.
That's right.
Okay. So we're talking about military and things like that. I want to know, like, do you have law enforcement there? Like the population, who gets in trouble? What's allowed into this country? Like, do you have rules, a constitution, like all that stuff?
Well, that's a lot. But so let's start from the beginning. We do have law enforcement. But first to say that Molossia is a very law-abiding country, so we don't really need too much law enforcement. But our chief constable, who is our daughter, she's 19 now, she is in charge of law enforcement here in the Republic of Molossia. We have a lot of our own laws and our own rules. And then, of course, just to keep the peace between us and the United States, we kind of tend to follow their rules, too, because they're much bigger than us. We don't want them to, roll up the driveway and squash us one day. That'd be kind of a bad thing. So anyway, but yeah, and we have our own laws. We have our own culture. We have a lot of holidays. Pretty much everything that a country has, we have here in the Republic of Molossia.
So with your military background, also, do you have a military base in Molossia?
Yes. Molossia has the Molossian Navy. That's right. Even though we're in the middle of the Nevada desert, we have our own Navy, which is 100% composed of inflatable kayaks that we actually take out on nearby lakes over the border in the U.S.
Theoretically, you invade the United States with your Navy.
Well, I mean, we don't really invade. We just conduct military exercises on nearby waters. So.
We have a question from a viewer. I'm sure she means this. What does a house go for in Molossia? What's the house values there?
Well, I mean, I don't know. We only have one house and it's paid for. So,
so what's the population of Molossia?
The total population is 35. And that's all family members. Molossia is a family nation.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you can't come in from another place and be a Molossian citizen. I guess maybe, if you marry one of our kids or grandkids or something like that, you can. But that's about it.
Tell me about tourism.
We welcome tourists to Molossia, but because we're such a small country, we do it on defined days. So you can't just wander in anytime. We actually have, I think, 7 tours a year on Saturdays, like the third Saturday, something like that, April through October. So basically during better weather when it's not, cold or snowy or something like that. And we average about 200 plus tourists a year. They come from all over the world.
We need to build that.
Oh, yeah, we definitely need to.
So the one house thing, I do have a question on that, and we can go back more into tourism here. Is that the presidential house?
Yeah, we call it government house. Yes.
Really? Like we have the White House. So you have a government.
Actually, I have 2 offices. I have an office inside Government House, and then I have the presidential office in a place that we call Red Square, which is outside Government House. It's where most of our government buildings are. The Molossia Post Office. We have a trading post there, trading company, as well as my own office. We even have our own bar and grill there in Red Square. So,
do you have a hotel?
We don't have a hotel. We've gone back and forth about that, but we're such a small country that if we start welcoming people overnight and so forth, it'd be kind of invasive. So we don't. But there's accommodations over the border in the U.S. that might be more enjoyable than staying here in Molossia.
Sandy made a comment. If you were to launch an online course on how to do this, what you did, you would be a millionaire in a month. And I completely agree.
I actually have a web page out there that kind of gives you, I wouldn't say a step-by-step, but close to a step-by-step of how to start your own nation. It's really not that hard.
Is that on the webpage, the Molossia webpage?
Yeah, it's on our website, and there's like some
have it here.
extra links on, and it's got a thing that says how to start your own micronation. And
with that, what is your relationship with other micronations across the globe?
We have friendly but informal relations with other micronations. We don't engage in formal diplomacy. We just tend to be friends with them. Micronations tend to come and go rather rapidly. So if you get all formal with diplomacy, you're going to lose track really quickly. Who's still even around? When I mentioned that Molossia was founded when I was 15, that's like the average age for micronationalists. The difference is that's been 46 years ago now, and I stuck with it. And a lot of micronationalists, they don't necessarily, they drift off to other things or whatever. Might come back to it later in life, that kind of thing.
Is there another micronation in the United States that we're not aware of? Or
there are probably hundreds.
Really?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. Just Google micronation.
Okay.
And you're going to come up with so many of them. If they have a website, it's there. A lot of them don't have a website, but they'll be on like Facebook or Instagram, something like that. On social media primarily, that's the platform for them. But there are several micronations that you can actually visit in the United States besides Molossia. Differing levels of seriousness in what they do. For example, there's one called Slowjamistan, which is down in Southern California. Basically, it's based off of Molossia. They came visit us and then started their own nation. And the ruler of Slowjamistan actually has his own radio show.
Well, I had a friend message me. This is funny. He knows way more about Molossia than I do, and I told him not to tell me anything because I'm learning this straight from you. But he wanted me to ask one question because he's not going to be able to watch tonight because he's working.
Okay.
Kick Assia.
Okay.
Oh, that was, yes. Tell us about April 9th, 2010.
You know about Kick Assia?
2010. That was 13 years ago.
Day.
That was a long time ago now. Wow.
Oh my gosh, I did not know that you knew that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
what happened was the official story was that the Kikassia people invaded Molossia and took over, threw me out as president, and then they basically ran the country for a short time till they decided it was too hard, and then they quit and put me back in charge of my own country. That's the official story. Now, the actuality is Kikassia was founded by a bunch of guys from a website called thatguywiththeglasses.com. They're a bunch of video game reviewers and movie reviewers and so forth. And they gathered once a year in various places. We were, I think, their second anniversary gathering, and they made a movie about throwing me out and taking over the country called Kikassia. I really recommend it. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to film when they were here. And so check it out. It's on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. It's on YouTube, about an hour and a half.
I'm going to have to look this up. I'm going to have to look this up.
Kikassia.
It was a lot of fun. It really was. And the irony is a lot of people thought that Molossia was founded as a part of Kikassia, as a part of the movie. But we were around, of course, way before that. And then they just sort of came in and made us a little bit better known.
Catherine asked a question. Is this just a way to avoid paying U.S. taxes? Actually,
no. We do pay U.S. taxes, but we call them foreign aid. So we give the United States foreign aid every year. And, I mean, you've seen their roads. They need all the help they can get. So we are there for them.
You need to
we're
come to
there to help.
Appalachia. President
Okay.
Kevin Baugh, next time you're in Appalachia, you need to message me. I will give you a tour.
Yep. That changes a lot of my plans because I had already planned on shipping up one of those little micro houses to the corner of Molossia and setting up shop. So
no, I was thinking about the same thing, Rick. Like a small home, like one of those
listen,
like 500
if he's
feet
got
or
good
less.
Wi-Fi, we can do the show from Molossia.
Yes.
We don't have to, yeah, we're
would be
earning income in another country. I can't tax
that'd be a lot
that.
of fun. Come on out and see us, and yes.
Nevada is known for Vegas. Do you have casinos in Molossia?
No, there's no casinos in Molossia.
Okay.
Again, we try not to run afoul of the U.S. and their laws. And in the state of Nevada, because casinos are big business, you don't mess around with that. You either have a license or you just stay right out of it because you get in a lot of trouble.
So this might switch us over to money talks.
Okay.
So we had somebody message. I know this backstory of this because I've researched you a little bit and I see you watch some videos. But we have Jerry on here ask about what is the deal with the cookie dough? And
okay.
That goes with the money, right? The currency
it does
that
indeed.
you all have? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Molossia's money is called the Valora, which means valuable in our second language, Esperanto. And it is based not on silver, gold, or platinum, anything useless like that. No, it's based on chocolate chip cookie dough. We're on the cookie dough standard here in the Republic of Molossia. We like doing things a little bit differently. That's it. As the First Lady likes to say it, we're rolling in the dough. Get that? That was a joke.
I love it. I love that. Hopefully you have that as a T-shirt. T-shirt, rolling in the dough in Molossia.
Cookie dough is actually part of our culture here in Molossia. And so what we will do occasionally is have what's called cookie dough fests, where we eat raw cookie dough, which is now safer than it used to be.
Yes.
Eat raw cookie dough and watch bad monster movies. So
it's a paradise.
Molossian culture.
Molossia is an absolute paradise.
Something like that.
I
we think so.
Bad.
Do you need a passport to enter Molossia? Asked by Jerry.
No, you don't really have to have a passport. We encourage it. A surprising number of our visitors actually do bring their passports, even though they're just from right over the border in the U.S. We encourage it, and we will definitely stamp your passport if you come visit our country.
Okay, so it's not necessary, because I sent this out to a bunch of friends, and they live out west. And I'm like, we're going to go visit that. I said, I think you need to have a passport, so they don't necessarily have to have it.
You don't have to, but it's a lot more fun because we stamp your passport, and that way you get that feel of leaving the U.S. and visiting a foreign country. Which
it feels like Vegas is a little bit foreign country too. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, and makes me think that what happens in Molossia stays in Molossia.
Well, yes and no. Pretty much anything that happens here probably going to go on one of our social media things. So if you come visit and we take your picture, it's going to be blasted out there for everyone to see. So,
do you have diplomatic immunity in the U.S.?
I've never actually tested that theory. Probably because we don't really mess up too much more over there because they're kind of big and scary.
Who does control your social media, aka the propaganda czar?
That's primarily me and the First Lady. We're sort of the folks that run pretty much everything with the Molossian government. The rest of our citizens, like I said before, they're just happy to let us go ahead and do it, and they just go off and do whatever your average citizen of your average country does, live their lives, I guess.
You mentioned you have a daughter who's 19.
Yes.
I assume she went out of the country to go to school?
Yes, we don't have a school here in Molossia. We have we had, now that she's graduated, we had basically two exports here in Molossia, garbage and our kids.
So tell me about your kids going to school in the United States of America. And and when they're at school and their friends find out that they live in a different country, walk me through that. Well, actually,
that was a little bit confusing, especially for our daughter Alexis, our chief constable, because she grew up with Molossia. When she would go to school, she herself was a little bit confused when the teacher asked, "Well, where do you live?" Schools are like a county thing, and there's different communities. Where do you live? And she's like, "Well, I live in Molossia." and so now everybody in the local Story County School District knows where Molossia is, knows what Molossia is.
Good for her.
We got a question.
One question. Hold on,
okay.
hold on. If
Okay, go ahead, Rick. No, go ahead.
Sorry, I got. Oh God, not.
No, well, we
not
have a ton.
Right.
We talked about this. We have a ton.
If I wanted to send you a letter, how would I address that letter?
I have it's an address thing. Actually, a contact page on our website instead of me just like rattling off here that no one's going to remember it. So you go to our website. There's like a contact page, but unfortunately it has to go through the U.S. postal system before it gets to us because we're inside the United States, within the United States, if you will. So we have like a regular street address that things get delivered to, and then we take it from there.
If we could get that changed to Molossia, that would be amazing. Like that would be, the icing on the cake.
Absolutely.
So
all right, sorry,
Jerry, no, you're good. Jerry has a question. Ask President Baugh about joining the Navy in Molossia. How does somebody join it?
Well, we used to have a program where you could do that. We had a thing called the Molossian Naval Academy, but then we had a problem with the website, and so some kind of functionality issue. So the Naval Academy no longer exists. We did for quite a while, have a lot of honorary members of the Molossian Navy, and we've even had a few of them come visit Molossia and participate in naval exercises. I would say in our nation, but we all know it's not in our nation.
This is amazing and mind-blowing to me. I've never heard of anything like this before, and I want to say thank you. It's already 7:30 our time, Eastern Standard Time. So if anybody's watching this via social media, we appreciate you. We have President Kevin Baugh, the president of the Republic of Molossia, that's located in the state of Nevada. He created a country that pretty much, I know the eastern side of us, I did not know about this, and it was mind-blowing to me when I saw a little thing on TikTok about it. I'm like, what the heck is this? I got to find out. And so if anybody's watching this right now, please, please, please give us comments, ask questions, share this out. We love you all. Thank you for tuning in at 107.7 FM New Orleans. We love y'all. We are What the Frick Live. I'm your host, Emily, and my other host, Rick, is with us tonight, too. So, oh my goodness. So the currency, I want to go to currency and banking because, we mentioned the cookie dough. So is there a banking system with your currency?
Absolutely. We have the Bank of Molossia, and that's who issues our currency. And that's who also, keeps track as our, repository of our cookie dough that backs up the currency. And so, yeah, of course we do. We, as I mentioned before, we have everything here in the Republic of Molossia, our own postal system, our own bank, our own currency. You already heard the national anthem. I will say one thing on the opening, you had an interesting version of the Molossian flag that doesn't actually exist. I don't know what that is or where you got it, but that ain't it.
That's what you look up, and it's like 5, 10, 15 images of it. It's the blue, white, and green.
Right, but the one you had there had like diagonal stripes with our coat of arms in the corner, and that's not it. It's just basically blue for the sky, white for the mountains, especially in the winter when there's snow, and green for the desert, especially in the springtime when it's blooming.
I'm very sorry.
No worries at all.
Well, that's one of my questions, because the United States flag, the stars, the stripes, and everything means everything to us here in the United States. So does those particular colors and the stripes, does that mean anything to Molossia?
Oh, yeah, sure. Like I said, the blue is for the sky, which we almost always have blue sky here in Molossia. And the white, again, is for the mountains, which is right all around our country, especially in the winter. There's a lot of snow up there. Hopefully not down here. We don't really want it down here. And then the green, the bottom stripe, is for the desert in springtime when the sagebrush blooms. It turns this sort of kind of a lime green, and it's really, really pretty. So, well, if you're from here, it's really pretty. If you're not from the desert, you probably don't appreciate it. But anyway.
I was thinking like purity and like.
Yes, all those things too. Yes. I don't honestly remember all that. There is definitely purity and honor and so forth like that but it doesn't come up as much as the blue sky and so forth.
So for potential tourism, right? Walk me through the journey to get to Molossia. Yes. Like, what's your typical travel look like for somebody?
Actually, we have a lot of our tourists that come are really from the local area, from Reno or Carson City or something like that, or they'll drive over from California, which is only about 2 hours away, that kind of thing. But for other folks, some actually fly in. and they'll fly to the Reno airport, and then they get in a car and drive on over to see us. We
How
have a
far
lot
is
of folks
that drive?
that are road tripping, and they travel across the U.S. and they build their vacation around our travel days, our tourist days. I'm sorry. So,
How far are you guys from the Reno airport?
About 35 miles.
Okay.
Something like that. Yes, absolutely. And we're just down the road from the Nevada town of Virginia City, famous from the old TV show Bonanza and so forth. And so when folks get done visiting our country, a tour of our country only takes about an hour and a half. So when folks are done visiting our country, we encourage them to go up the hill and go visit Virginia City.
How close are you to Area 51?
Both Las Vegas and Area 51 are about 6 to 8 hours south of here.
Okay,
yeah, we're a long way away from those places. But we've been by there. If that counts.
It counts.
So
it counts.
when you look up, Molossia and everybody, when you're doing your research, figuring out, hey, there is a country within the United States, you find this very intriguing story about the war that you're currently involved with.
Yes.
I'd love for you to hear. I kind of want to tell the story, but I would love to hear your version of exactly what is going on, how that started, and where we are today.
Absolutely.
I'll embellish if you need to.
I'm glad you asked that question. It's kind of a long story. I'm glad you're sitting down. So up until 1991, from the end of World War II till about 1991, the nation of Germany was divided basically into thirds, and the eastern third was a country called East Germany, which was a communist country. Now, when I was with the United States Army, I was stationed in then West Germany in the early 1980s. I was Prime Minister of Molossia back when it was called Voldstein. And as armies tend to do, they would get us up in the middle of the night. We jump on our tanks. We head over and be prepared to repel the communist horde, who fortunately actually never came. But they woke me up one too many times. So as Prime Minister, I declared war on the nearest East Bloc nation, which was the aforementioned East Germany. There's a war declaration and everything. And then I forgot all about it until about, I'd say 12 years ago, going through the files and the records of the Ministry of the Closet. And I said, wow, there's a war declaration, East Germany. Wow, gosh, East Germany's long gone. And I discovered that, in fact, East Germany is not long gone.
Hold on, time out. I thought East Germany was gone. That's
what they want. That's what they want you to believe, Emily. That's what they want you to believe.
Hear me out. Now, hear me out. Okay, hear me out. Listen to the rest of the story here.
Okay.
So I did a little research and I discovered that the nation of East Germany is not entirely gone, even though East and West Germany unified in 1991. Back in 1973, Fidel Castro of Cuba gave an island off the coast of Cuba to East Germany to become East German territory. Kind of a symbolic thing, but it was still, basically East German territory. Well, that island was not mentioned in the unification treaty between East and West Germany, and so it still exists as the last remaining piece of the nation of East Germany. Now, that island is uninhabited, except for marine iguanas, and they just don't care. And
allegedly.
So our war with East Germany continues and has now gone on since 1981. So was that 41 years, something like that. And will probably go on forever. We are basically eternally at war with an uninhabited island off the coast of Cuba. And that is our East German war. And you can buy war bonds to support our war.
For you to win the war.
Junior, hold on. You can buy war bonds to support
you can buy war bonds?
His war.
Yes, we do sell war bonds. We actually sell a lot of war bonds to support our war against East Germany. It's kind of a mainstay of our economy.
Most people probably don't even know that it's no longer there either, to be honest.
It is.
It's there, but it's not like how it was.
No, there's nobody on the island, but that's why the war goes on. If there was somebody there, we could probably arrange peace. So that's why the war continues probably forever.
You got this beautiful island in the Caribbean. Maybe we get the Navy together.
Maybe that should be Molossia.
And we take it. We take it by force.
Should the time ever come when the United States allows tourism in Cuba, it's a good possibility that we'll travel there and we will then arrange peace. But who knows when that's going to happen, because that whole thing comes and goes all the time. In the meantime, we're pretty content to have the war go on. It gives us an eternal enemy with whom to be perpetually at war with, and we can blame all of our ills, something, if a pipe bursts or something, we can blame those East Germans.
Blame communism.
But to get peace, what would you settle for, President Baugh, to have peace? What would the East Germany have to do?
I don't want. I mean, since there aren't any,
you don't want it. There's no.
I think we would probably have to go there and just declare victory over the uninhabited island and all their iguanas.
I mean, to plant the Molossian flag.
Yeah,
in
we could definitely
the heart of East Germany, finally destroying. You could be the person who finally destroys communism.
That's right. These German communism. Yes.
And ends the.
I love it. That's amazing. I love that.
That's the story of our never-ending war.
Well, speaking of in wars and other not Germany, but go to Greek. Do you all have Olympic games? Do you all represent yourselves in Olympic games?
We don't, not in the Olympics that everybody knows about, but we actually hosted some micronational Olympic games back in 2000, and then there's been some off and on ever since then that we have occasionally participated in. But micronation Olympic games are a little easier because organizing Olympic games is kind of like
micronation Olympics. Sorry, I'm writing this down. I'm at that age, President Baugh, that I have to write things down to remember it.
Oh, yeah.
So I can go back and look back at this micronation Olympic Games.
Yeah,
I did
absolutely.
not know that.
That was a long time ago, 23 years ago, but it was a lot of fun. It was kind of like cat herding, It's tough to organize micronationalists because they're kind of like do their own thing kind of people, and so. But it was fun. We had a good time.
The population of your country over the years, have you seen it continuously expand? Was it ever larger? What was the most people you had living in there at one time?
I think what we have right now, our population of 35, and just to note that not only are we a family nation, but most Molossians don't actually live in our country. It's a very small country, and so but they live in the surrounding area over the border. We call them expatriates, but we are continually expanding because our children are now having children, and so it becomes one of those exponential things as kids have kids.
You have a line of succession.
Yes, my first lady, she is a few years younger than me, so she is my designated successor. She says she's going to change the flag to purple and pink when I die. Anyway, and then probably or possibly the chief constable will be her successor, or perhaps one of our grandkids, something like that. So it really depends on who takes the interest and who has the energy to keep the country going.
So this dream that you had 40 something years ago, I mean, the legacy that you're leaving is quite impressive, especially the fact so many people are involved with this. And with that, I'm on your website and just going through, and you have a visitors and flag counter.
Oh yeah.
So you have lots of countries visit, and there's tens of thousands of people from multiple countries. And then you have 683,000 people clicks for the United States.
Oh yeah.
But that's not the most.
No.
How in the world, what is China's fascination with Molossia?
I don't know, but they absolutely love us there. And we get a lot of correspondence from China, and I send a lot of souvenir postcards that way. So
almost 700,000 clicks or views from China.
We're definitely big in China.
So I have a question about the jail. I had it on my paper, but we also have a watcher ask about the jail. I was talking about does your previously is when the children get in trouble, instead of timeout, they go to jail. what happens in the jail in Molossia?
Again, Molossians are very well-behaved people, but we actually mostly use the jail for tourists. When they come visit the country, we'll put them in jail, take a picture, and then they're back out. We actually give them a get-out-of-jail-free card, just like the Monopoly game.
Let's see here. Rick, you have a follow up with that? I got to look at my. I've checked off a lot, so we've moved a lot in this show. Actually, I'm very impressed by what we've been talking about.
Your relationship with the local community, the town, the county in Nevada, right? What's your relationship in terms of like the leadership there, local county? Is it a positive, not a positive relationship, but
it's definitely a positive relationship. I would say we're fairly well known in Nevada, but here, let's all practice that together. It's not pronounced Nevada. It's pronounced Nevada. Come on, you guys can do it.
Nevada.
What?
There you go.
Nevada. I see Nevada.
It's like somebody from Jersey.
If you come to Nevada and you pronounce it Nevada, we'll probably kick you out. So
wow.
No, I'm getting
Okay.
Molossia jail.
But we do have a positive relationship with the nearest town is the town of Dayton, which is just right over the border from Molossia, and then a little bit further on is the capital city of Carson City. Every year in Carson City, we're in a thing called the Nevada Day Parade, which is a celebration of Nevada statehood, admission to the Union back in 1864, and we are very, very well received in the Nevada Day Parade. We're always in that parade, waving and smiling and so forth. And then there's also a parade in the town of Dayton. We're in that, and there we're very well known on the Nevada Tourism website. If you go to the Nevada Tourism website, you can click on there. You will definitely find us. We're all over the place on that website. So we're one of Nevada's tourist attractions now, I guess.
I say so. I mean, you're on my bucket list, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Definitely, I'm coming to Molossia.
For sure. I mean, anybody who's out there, you're driving through, taking a road trip, especially anybody who finds their way in Reno, right? Like that would be an awesome little detour for a day. Try to plan it on when you guys are open for tourism.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely do that. Because we have other things going on during the year, we really funnel everybody that wants to come visit to those tourist dates because we have other stuff happening in Molossia all the time. So and that's unfortunate. People always want to visit us in the winter, and I don't ever want to give a tour of our country when there's snow on the ground.
Is there specific rules that we need to abide by when we're in Molossia?
Oh, there's all kinds of different rules, and I'll read them to you when you come visit. It's kind of one of the things that we do when you come to the customs shack there at the border. But there's a variety of rules. Let's see, you can't play the drums in the bathroom. Let's see what else we have. Sunshine is guaranteed. The mask is not really a rule, but we definitely promise that for you. And almost always there's sunshine in Molossia. Our weather is perfect in Molossia, about 70 degrees. It only rains at night when it's not inconvenient.
Wow.
But we're so close to the U.S. border that their crappy weather blows in all the time. So sometimes we have to kind of deal with that. So anyway, but and you have to keep your elephant on a leash if you've got one. There's no walruses, things like that.
Well, we got some stuff like that in Kentucky. We can't walk a chicken down Main Street at noon on weekdays.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But weekends is fine.
Obviously.
And in fact, quite a few of our weird laws in Molossia were borrowed from weird laws over the border in the U.S. For example, you can't let off a nuclear device in our country except you get a very large fine. That's actually adopted from Salinas, California. Now, I'm not sure who's going to be left behind after you let off an atomic bomb.
Yeah.
Do you have any of that weaponry there? Are you considering?
Yeah. Listen, they have to protect themselves. It's a crazy world, okay?
All we have in Molossia is a couple of muskets. So
that's a potato launcher.
I mean, think about it. Our entire Navy is inflatable kayaks. So, I mean, if you do too much shooting, we're going to sink. So we try to avoid it.
No threat in Molossia.
I remember reading your public calendar is a very exciting one. It has very unique holidays that you guys celebrate. There was one, Day of the Dude, I think is the one that popped out at me. But can you share what the inspiration of that was and maybe some other exciting dates that you guys celebrate?
The Day of the Dude is literally adopted from the movie The Big Lebowski with Jeff Bridges. And that's the day we actually drink White Russians and go bowling. Probably actually go bowling and then drink White Russians. I'm not sure. Anyway, but actually we have a lot of our own holidays, and of course many that you would recognize from the American calendar here in Molossia. We're a big fan of just about any kind of holiday where there's food, because we do like to eat. And so we recognize, for example, Chinese New Year. Shout out to the folks from New Orleans. We do Mardi Gras. That's coming up here pretty soon, I think, towards the end of the month. And just any number of different things, as well as, of course, recognizing my own birthday. That's President's Day, things like that. We even have a day, the day of the, so what is it, the running of the dogs, was to celebrate the dogs of Molossia. So
how about Kentucky Derby Day?
We do not have we don't have any
Oh,
horses
come
in
on.
Molossia. Well, we have wild horses in Molossia.
found
They come through a lot, but there's no horse races.
That might be needed to be new. Y'all can watch it and just party and have fun and get hats.
We
Make
do our
hats.
absolute best.
They have a moon pie festival.
We
also,
do.
Moon
Yes, we celebrate moon pies in Molossia. And if we can get it, we'll have the whole moon pie and RC thing. But RC cola is kind of hard to come by in this area.
The other micronations that you guys have, from what I remember, is that there's like a micronation convention.
Yes.
It's a microcon. Is it?
Yeah, it's called Microcon.
How often is that? Where is that?
We actually have that every couple of years. On odd years, we had it in 2022 because we had to skip 21 because of COVID. But we're gonna have another one coming up in Chicago at the beginning of the end of June. That'll be the next Microcon, and it's just really fun to gather together, just micronationalists from basically all over the world, and get their ideas of what makes a nation, and just sort of a meeting of ideas and so forth. It's not like more like a convention rather than not like making policy or anything like that. Kind of more like a fun get together and just showing off your nation and seeing what you got. And there, like I said, there's a lot of other micronations out there. I'm going to pause for a second here. My phone is actually about to die.
Oh, no.
So hate to tell you that. Let me see if I can plug it in and we can carry on. So
Okay, I'll take. Just wave at me and let me know.
Yeah. Talk
Okay.
amongst yourselves there.
Okay. There we go. Holy smokes. I still have 2 more questions left that I'd like to try to squeeze in. We got like 8 more minutes left and we can let him go.
I mean, I'm sure everyone else listening, as well as myself, is like, man, like, what am I going to, and where am I going to start a micronation, and what am I going to celebrate? Like, it's a lot of dedication and devotion. So I applaud him for sticking with it. I imagine everyone has like some crazy idea, but he stuck with it. Him and his buddy came up with a good idea in their teens, and here he is still living that same dream. That's impressive by itself.
I want to know, hopefully you're okay, right, President?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's all right. But
We just got about 4 minutes left. Hopefully,
Okay.
and we let you go and then we close out our show. But if somebody wants to move to Molossia, or can they build? You won't allow them to build on
no,
land?
Molossia is a family nation.
Okay.
We have a lot of folks that want to come here. We have inquiries every single day from faraway lands, but there's no room. There's no room for additional citizens in our tiny little country. So,
any opportunities to expand in the local community into the United States?
We have our eyes actually on a piece of property over the border in the U.S., right across the street from us. I know it's weird to say right across the street from another country, but anyway, we might expand there eventually. But again, that would still be like family stuff. That'd be where members of our family would live. Still in Molossia, but anyway. So, but that's it. We're pretty limited on what we can have, and so we're happy with that.
And I have one final question, and then Rick, I'll let you close out. So can the U.S. come in and close you down? Like, what has to happen if the U.S. decides, hey, we don't like Molossia, we don't want them part? Like, what are they going to do?
Bring an army.
Well, we certainly hope that wouldn't happen. I mean, we don't have any beef with the U.S. and they don't have any beef with us. They've let us do our own thing for almost 46 years now, and they haven't complained. We don't cause any problems or anything like that. I suppose if they came in and rolled up the driveway with bristling with weapons and law enforcement and so forth, we'd probably have to shut down the country. They're bigger than us. Like I said, we only have 2 muskets, and we're not going to get in a shooting contest with the United States. That literally never ends well. So
Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Greatly appreciated for everyone. I mean, there's a ton of information. Their website is at molossia.org.
Absolutely.
Definitely check it out. The pictures alone are fantastic. Tell us anything else. Where else can we kind of find you and interact with you and your community or your
We also have
citizens?
well, we welcome tourists during our tourist days during the warmer months. We have lots of social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, even TikToks. The first lady started doing that for us, and so forth. The one closing thing, hopefully the phone doesn't die. I can't really tell if it's going to or not. But anyway, the one closing thing is I would like to encourage people to start their own micronation. It's not as crazy as it sounds. It's a lot of fun. I mean, it could be crazy if you take it too far. But maybe you don't want to do that. So, but it's a lot of fun, and yeah, we encourage folks to do it. Just use your imagination, creativity, and hoist your own flag. Start your own country. Why not?
Yeah. No. Yes. Why not?
And we can find that information on how to start off your website, right?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And
I think it's time for courses, President Baugh. I think you need to do some courses there. Maybe people will pay for that.
Exactly.
I'm considering it.
Yep. All right. Thank you very much for joining us this evening.
Absolutely. It has been my pleasure.
Yep.
Thank you. This has been super fun. We appreciate
hopefully
you very much. We'll be in touch. We'll stay in touch.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. David, the president of Molossia, micronation within the United States.
Where do you start your own micronation, and what are you going to name it?
Voorhees, New Jersey.
We'll see.
Ambassador Jerry, he's been on here making comments too. So yeah, Republican.
Yes. Peacekeeping mission to Molossia.
Yes.
All right, that was a good one.
That's awesome. I am telling you, I have never heard of this before. It was mind blowing to me when I was like, I never even thought of a micronation within the United States.
Do we have enough time?
But I have questions still, though, because this happened back in the late 70s. That's a lot of cult stuff. You know, we got Charles Manson and everything. Could he make a micronation off a ranch? Like, I don't know. I could go steer, true crime, serial killer, all that kind of stuff.
I'm surprised you didn't. I was waiting for you to drop that connection, especially when they started talking about Cuba and Fidel Castro. I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
She's going hard right now.
I don't know. I just didn't bring it up.
The end of a very exciting week for you, Emily. Congratulations on making it through.
Oh my goodness. It's been one heck of a week. I'll just tell you that. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. And I told you, Rick, I was born on Friday, March the 13th on a Friday night. And you're going to learn. You're going to learn anything weird, unusual, anything. It happens to me. And if you don't believe me, ask my mom. She'll tell you. It's the whole family. But anyway, we have a super big, huge weekend coming up with Super Bowl. And then Valentine's Day on Tuesday. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Go out there and celebrate your partner or whatever. The one day out of the year, you should be celebrating them every day. In my opinion.
Of course,
but that's my mom's birthday. I don't celebrate Valentine's Day like everybody else does. So happy birthday, Mom. I love you.
Happy birthday, Mama. We love you.
So we'll be live again here next week at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on 107.7 FM New Orleans. And on Facebook, YouTube, you name it, we'll be live. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight. We will be with Carl Johnson next week. He is a demonologist, worked with on The Conjuring, if y'all watch those movies, with Ed and Lorraine Warren back in the day. He's one of the very first demonologists that come out. He actually discovered that home and gave that to Ed and Lorraine to help work out what's going on.
More nightmares.
He's been on all kinds of different television programs. We'll be live next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with Carl Johnson. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. We'll see you next time.